Frontera Rock.
Amigos de Frontera Rock, el día de hoy tenemos el gusto de conversar con dos músicos representantes de las vertientes más sólidas del blues rock contemporáneo de Boston. Tenemos a Brian Templeton y Charlie O'Neill de Delta Generators, una banda que acaba de presentar su sencillo I Got You, y es el adelanto de su nuevo álbum On and On, que verá la luz ya ahora en mayo. Brian, Charlie, thank you very much for taking the time to join us today. How are you both doing, and how does it feel to be getting ready for the release of the new album?
Yeah, it's great. Feeling good. Well, just waiting for things to warm up here. You don't have to worry about that down there, but it's still cold up here. But yeah, it's all good. We're very excited.
How about you, Charlie?
Yeah, it's we've been waiting for it to come out a while now, so yeah, we're excited to get it out. It's coming out May 22nd, so yeah, we're excited to get it out.
You both guys are in Boston, right?
Pretty much, yeah. That's our base.
Okay.
I actually live in southern New Hampshire now, but I'm from Boston.
Okay. Well, let's start with some of the Delta Generator perspective. Brian, you already had a strong background in blues before forming the Delta Generators. What inspired you to start this band, and what musical ideas did you want to explore with it?
Well, so first of all, the band, Charlie and Rick and Jeff, had been together already as Delta Generators for, I think it was a good eight years or so before I joined. So I didn't help form the band. But, as far as musical ideas and where I was hoping to go with this band, I didn't have much to think about, because when I started to listen to their past records, I realized that we are all kindred spirits in regards to what we're trying to do, which is keep the bass in the blues, but take it to other levels, including making it more rock. So they were pretty much doing the same thing that I had been doing when I was with the Radio Kings, which is bringing in all the influences and just making it your own. So we continued on that path, and it's worked out great for me.
Great. Charlie, from your perspective as a guitar player, what was it about the chemistry between the members that made the band work from the beginning?
Well, my brother's the bass player in the band, so we've been playing together for a long time. So we already had a connection, on and off through the years. We had played together in bands, then gone our own ways and come back together, etc. And Jeff, the drummer, Rick and I had played with Jeff, I guess 3 years before we started the band, and we just had an instant connection. There was definite chemistry there right away. So it was just easy, it was just really easy. And so we were like, geez, we should just try to play together, the three of us, and in many ways as possible, because like I said, it's like falling off a log, and it's really easy. So when we started this band, because Jeff wasn't the original drummer actually, but once Jeff joined, it really became the Delta Generators. And yeah, for me, it was just really easy as a guitar player to play with these guys.
Okay, and Brian, your music blends blues, rock, soul, and even some American influences. How would you describe the musical DNA of Delta Generators?
The DNA is the blues. I mean, the basis of it is the blues. But we all grew up listening to rock. Charlie played in quite a few rock bands before he formed the band with his brother. So, for me, it's blues rock. I grew up listening to Kiss, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath. I mean, these were the bands that I loved as a teenager. And then in my early 20s, I got into the blues, and that took me to a whole other place where I basically only listened to and researched as much blues as I could. So, but the rock thing has always been there. I mean, I still listen to it. There's nothing better than, cranking AC/DC in my car and driving. It brings me back to my youth, and it keeps me going.
Okay, thank you for that. Charlie, your guitar feel deeply rooted in classic blues traditions, but there's some other influences in your style and your that you grab it from your youth era or something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm influenced by, I don't know, all music. I love so many styles of music, and in this band, we kind of we play blues, we play rock, but we also play things that are a little more, I don't know, for kind of have a lot of country influence, like old school country influence, a lot of just American roots style of music that's intertwined in our music. And that's something that was always around the house for me growing up from a very young age. So I think maybe I just absorbed some of that, and it's kind of always been there. But I'm into like all different styles of music, so it's going to come out in some way, and I'm the kind of person who I need to listen to and absorb all different types of music, because I can't just, only listen to the blues or only listen to rock or country or whatever. I really need to have all the different great music out there, feed my soul. So, it just creeps in, just different things, I guess, that I've been influenced by over the years is going to be part of it, I just can't avoid it.
And
because if you reject that, then you're not being yourself. If you say, I'm only going to, this is my perspective, if you say, I'm just going to be, for example, a blues purist, well, I think then you're going to have a harder time really expressing who you are, as a musician and as an artist. So I just kind of try to let things in the fold, that I think are respecting the music, I guess.
Okay, and I understand. And the music influence is a blender. No, it's you can avoid, like you said, all the things that you heard when you were young, when you were adult, and even right now. There's a new bands that came out from some fresh music, and you listen and that's great. But if you have to pick one guitar player that inspires you to play the guitar, who is this guitar player?
Geez, it depends on the day. It's hard. That's a really hard question, because it's there's just there's just so many. Even when I started playing guitar, there was so many. It wasn't just one guitar player.
Okay.
So many, and I could rattle off a list, but and that list might only be, for today. And then I'd just be like, oh, geez, I forgot, blah blah blah. I don't know. I have a hard time with that question, I guess.
Well, that's okay. Thank you, Charlie. Some people say, oh, Eddie Van Halen, or the Jimi Hendrix or whatever, but maybe it's a mix of all of them, right? But great guitarists in the history, right? Eric Clapton, etc.
Exactly. I could just say that the typical stuff. Yeah, Eddie Van Halen, Jimi Hendrix, Jimmy Page. etc. Jeff Beck, and they all were part of it, but there were so many others, and uh, yeah. I would say that Brian mentioned AC/DC, and we have we all love AC/DC. I think if you don't like AC/DC, I don't know if I can trust you if you like rock and roll. But
Yeah.
but Angus Young, for example, and Malcolm. I mean, listening to those albums at such a young age, I think that that's something else I absorbed into my playing, and
Yeah.
and musicality in some way. Just from those are the albums I went to when I started playing guitar, that I first went to because I listened to them so much, and they were very easy to pick up. I remember I had the High Voltage album, and I just decided I was going to learn. This week I'm going to learn every song on that album. When I started playing guitar at like 12, 13. So maybe that could be
Yeah.
Angus and Malcolm. That could be something that really got me going from a young age.
Thank you, Charlie. And I think the AC/DC have a very strong blues influence on their music. There's like a CC Top, and you can just feel it, the blues down deep in their music. So, Brian, your new album On and On is coming out soon. What makes this record different from the band's previous releases?
There's many aspects of why it's different, and I'm very happy with it because what we decided on this one was we were going to get in a room with the four of us and start throwing ideas around and riffs around. Charlie would come up with riffs, and we built each song from scratch in about 8 rehearsals. That was writing the songs and rehearsing them for the record. So whereas before, like the record beforehand, is much more production. Charlie overdubbed a lot of guitars. I overdubbed a lot of background vocals. I love to sing harmonies, so I'm always putting a lot of background vocals on my records. This time around, it's live. It's just the four of us, and we just wrote the songs, and then we pushed record, and what you hear is what we did. And I'm really happy with it because it's rough and off the cuff. And I think that's what makes it the most different. Okay. Is that it's close to what you would hear us playing live.
Okay. So all the process looks organic for you because everybody brought something to the process and bring something, and there's a team work, right? It's somebody came up for the riff and the lyrics and everything. Charlie, when you write this, well, I mean, when you write the songs for the, do you usually start with the lyrics or the riff, or you guys jamming together, and how come up this process?
Yeah, so I'm not really much of a lyricist, so that's all on Brian, So typically, I mean, this time around we did it very different because it was starting with all in the room together, someone playing something, and then somebody else reacting to that and trying to come up with, song ideas and songs, just all in the room together, which is something we have never done a whole album like that before. We've done parts, some certain songs, but this was all coming in with a blank slate, into rehearsal. And just trying to, come up with things in the moment and react to these things and, see if we get anything. And we did, luckily. It worked really well. And so this time around, we did it, different in that way. So, Jeff, our drummer, might play a groove, and Rick might start playing bass line to that, and then I might play a riff over it. So it was great. It was really nice to do it that way this time around. Typically in the past, often, I might come up with a little demo at home, just of a song structure, just play parts in my home studio here, pass it along to Brian, just as a song idea, and he'll, basically write a tune around it, and then we get together with the band, and we get in a room, or we get in the studio and just, work it out. Typically don't really play the other guys the demo, because often we don't want them to be cornered into having, you got to play the groove like this, you got to play the bass like this, really try to just have it be a work tape, basically, so it's more open. And then they can put their stamp on it, and that's when it becomes just a Delta Generator song, once of the four of us have played it together.
Okay, I got it. So, Brian, the blues music has always been a way to express very human stories. Do you feel that the blues is still a powerful storytelling from the in today's music world?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's timeless. It's really about how the person is feeling, and I can truthfully say, for me, most of the lyrics I write, especially in the blues vein, are personal, and I think that will never change. I think that's what the blues is about feelings. It's about your feelings, and they can be good feelings too. People always associate the blues with having the blues, but if you listen to the old R&B, which some people might call blues, B.B. King was called an R&B artist in his time, but now he's the king of the blues, but he did a lot of very upbeat, happy songs that were based on those chord changes. But so yeah, I don't think that will ever change, especially if you've listened to the blues, and you can't help but translate it that way. This is how this music was invented, was through personal experiences of people who were, living hard lives. And so I would say that, we're never going to get blues ever again that's going to sound like John Lee Hooker. You know what I mean? Like that guy, what he did was the blues, right? Everybody else is just basically copying that, in a sense. I can't relate to what it's like to be, muddy waters coming out of the fields of Mississippi. I can't relate to that. I don't pretend to relate to it, but I can take it to my own experiences, and I can do the best I can, But that's why if you listen to the way I sing, I just sing the way I sing, and I'm not trying to copy anything else, so to speak. You start off copying your heroes, but then eventually it becomes your own thing. So
yeah, you have your own style, and you play like that. Like you said, I sing like I sing. It's your voice, it's your style, right?
Yeah, I just wouldn't want to be anything else.
Yeah.
And it's funny, if you go back, if you listen to, say, Ray Charles, early Ray Charles, you'd think you were listening to Nat King Cole. Because that's who he was trying to be. And it wasn't until, it might have been, I forget, it might have been Wexler, who said, maybe somebody before him said, Yeah, we already have that guy.
Yeah.
Let's hear what Ray Charles sounds like. Can you imagine if that conversation never happened? I mean, there you go. When Ray Charles decided to be Ray Charles, everything, the universe shifted.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's what I want to be. I just want to be me, and I think people enjoy it. So I'm happy to keep doing it.
Yeah. Like we're talking about the guitar, the greatest guitar players with Charlie. You start copying something, but Eddie Van Halen started like that, and Jimi Hendrix started like that, and they have their own sound before, and so that's there's no shame on that. No, there's no awkward thing that you start copying your idols, and that's okay, and everybody does. Charlie, the blues rock is often at its best on the stage live. What is the biggest difference between the studio version of your music and what happens in a live show?
Well, I mean, this time around, this album was recorded live. So the newest album definitely has just this very much live energy to it. You were really trying to just catch a performance, just like we play live. There was no overdubs, there was no punch-ins on vocals, there was no auto-tune. So it was really that old school thing of just catching a performance. Which we feel like is lacking in maybe a lot of recorded music these days, just how everything's recorded piecemeal and everything's kind of put together, and then things are so coiffed. They're so lined up and perfect, and we kind of wanted to do the opposite of that. We wanted to get back to having a recording that just had a lot of live energy to it. So how do you do that? You record it live, now live, the difference, there's not a whole lot. I mean, you definitely, of course, there's nothing beats a live show, with a great live band, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're a good live band, I think people are going to have a different experience in general than listening to the album, hopefully, So hopefully we do the same. We bring that same thing. We bring everybody in this band is an amazing musician. So, and we play well together. So, and Brian is just such an amazing front person. So, the live energy is just something that you just, as much as you try to capture it on album, there's something that is so special about a live show, and I just hope that we bring that, because, and I think we do,
Yeah,
we do.
So, your recording process is more like live sessions, or more like that.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting because
I mean, Brian,
yeah. Go, Charlie.
Yeah. So even the vocal, even were recorded. Most of the time we recorded Brian in the same room with us. So there's just bleed everywhere. So it kind of gave us. It was kind of like there's no, even if we wanted to do something over, we have to do the whole song over. Like if somebody messed up, we just got to record the whole song over.
Okay.
So it was just, for us, it was a great way to do it, to just really capture, like I said, a performance. Because sometimes if you say, we'll just fix that later, I will do that over later,
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you lose something in the initial, 4 people playing together,
Yeah, and that's brings some freshness to the people that that style of live sessions, it's kind of lost in the music industry. So that's refreshing for us to hear some band that plays like back in the days. Most of the bands do it, so that's interesting. Uh, Brian, blues. Maybe it's a kind of the last question. Blues has gone through many transformations over the decades. From your perspective, where do you see the blues fitting into today's musical landscape?
I you know I only see it fitting into today's musical landscape when fans of that particular music decide to go find it, whether it's live or on record. Because if you want to call today's musical landscape like the kind of commercial style of music that's, popular pop music, as far as I'm concerned, it has nothing to do with that. Because the more, as we move more and more into the future, it's really just a lot of technical stuff that's being used to make music. So as long as there are blues fans out there who are looking to find and play the music, then it will endure. But as far as it kind of fitting in, no, I don't think so. But I don't want it to fit in to that. I like the way it is, and there's still a lot of good bands out there that do things that are doing things organically. It's just that the tragedy of it is that it's not going to be heard, widespread in a way. But I mean, even if you go back in time and listen to all the different blues styles, starting in the 40s, 50s, 60s, even then, everybody had their own style, and it was very diverse sounding, and that's how it is now still. So I just think it's a matter of what I'm hoping for, really, for the survival of the music in general, is that somehow there's like this revival in a way that the young, I'll call them kids, my children's ages, that are all 19 through 30.
Yeah.
That somehow it becomes a thing, right? I mean, we've seen now that vinyl has made a resurgence.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping for something like that, where all of a sudden it becomes cool and where these kids are playing Little Walter at a frat party or something. And really getting into it and understanding it and wanting to go back. And these things happen, it does happen. So that's, because, the truth of the matter is that if that doesn't happen, I don't know what the future of the music is, because, most of the people that I see at my shows are my age. Yeah. And we're not going to be around forever. So, but there are, there's always that young and up and coming. There's always seems to be like these young guys that are, they always come up. My good friend Mike Welch, for instance, and there's a bunch of young guys. So playing wise, there seems to be always a crop of these younger guys. There's not a lot of them. But once again, those younger guys are being listened to by old folks like me. Their friends are not listening to blues, I don't think. They have their own music, and it is what it is. But there'll always be, I suppose, a aspect of the public that will search out the things of the past. So hopefully blues will be one of those things.
Thank you for that answer, Brian. That's very clever, and I think the young generations gonna change this time, because I have a daughter, 13 years, and she's obsessed with Queen, and she wants the physical experience. She asked me for CDs or vinyl, and cassettes even. So they're going back to the beginning. So that's interesting, like you said. So well,
that's good news.
yeah, and then Charlie, what's the next step for the Delta generation? There's a tour in the horizon. Well, the complete album gonna be out in May 22, I think. So there's
22nd, yes.
22nd, yeah, and there's a tour. There's something in the horizon of the Delta generations right now.
Yeah, we'll be playing in the States, for a bit, and then we're going over to Europe in August. So we're playing in Germany, Belgium, and France.
Okay.
We're there. So yeah, so that's our summer, some dates here in the States and then going over there to do some dates. So, yeah.
Okay, and everybody can listen your music in every platform, and
yes,
and can follow you in the social media, Facebook, Instagram, and everything, right?
They can, yes.
Okay, it's a Delta Generators.
Yeah, they can go to our website too, deltagenerators.com, and you can purchase, listen,
okay,
see everything, hear everything.
Okay, merch and
Yep.
vinyl. Do you have vinyl or CDs or something?
We do have. We don't have vinyl for this album yet. We plan on doing it, but
okay.
I think we're going to do that as a later release.
Okay. Okay. Well, Brian, Charlie, thank you very much for joining us today. We look forward to hearing the full album, and hopefully one day we'll get to see Delta Generator performing here in Mexico, in Monterrey, or well, near to us to enjoy your music live. Instead, we're gonna listen your music in platforms and maybe get some physical experience. But thank you both for being here.
Thank you, Ricardo. Thank you very much.
Yes, thanks for having us.
Well, let me say goodbye in Spanish for our audience. So, amigos de Frontera Rock, el día de hoy estuvo Delta Generator con nosotros aquí en Frontera Rock. Muchas gracias por habernos escuchado. Mi nombre es Ricardo Klein. Nos escuchamos el próximo lunes, como siempre, de 7 a 8 de la noche a través de esta señal del 89.7 FM. Gracias, buenas noches.
Frontera Rock.